Okay,
Hello, my name is Mackenzie Zook,
my name is Kathleen Losey.
and we are going to be talking about mothers' experiences in the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, otherwise known as the NICU. Motherhood can be quite an emotional and unexpected journey, filled with the highs and lows. However, many are not prepared for the emotional trauma that giving birth to a premature, ill, or high-risk infant that requires an admission to the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit can bring. Unexpected birth trauma, a stay in the NICU, and the unique challenges that come with it greatly impact maternal mental health. There must be an increased awareness of the needs and feelings of mothers with infants in the NICU. The NICU can be a difficult environment for mothers and creates additional layers of responsibility for those who are already facing a major life adjustment. NICU parents are more likely to experience postpartum depression, anxiety disorders, and PTSD. We hope to find areas in which occupational therapists can help fill the gap and provide mothers the services to make the transition and experience easier. This video that we have shows a perspective from two mothers who experienced what the NICU is like.
Babies are born every day, but 1 in 10 have an early entry into this world. Babies are born every day, but 1 in 10 have an early entry into this world. It doesn't just affect the child. Those long days in the neonatal intensive care unit can be stressful for mom and dad.
You feel lost. Okay, my baby's here, they're on a ventilator, you see all these tubes and wires, and it's frightening. It's very traumatic.
Working for 20 years at the bedside of sick babies, Jody Dolezal, NICU nurse at Caremont Health outside Charlotte, North Carolina, knows the impact preemies have on their parents.
Whether they had a 24-weeker or a 34-weeker, they all had that same question. When is my baby going to go home? When is my baby going to be okay?
Lisa's son Jason came into this world at just 31 weeks. I have times where I break down. I never thought I would be here. And having lived through this herself, Nurse Melissa Hewitt tends to preemies daily at Einstein Health in Pennsylvania and knows firsthand how difficult this experience can be.
I had my daughter 18 years ago. She weighed a little bit under a pound and she was 11 inches long. That is smaller than the length of a Barbie doll. My son was born 13 weeks early. It was the hardest time of my life.
Now, 18 years later, Melissa's kids, Lexi and Jared, are perfectly healthy teenagers and even on the honor roll. But statistics show almost 60% of parents with babies in the NICU are at risk for post-traumatic stress disorder, even years after leaving the hospital.
An alarm goes off and you want to know what's wrong with your baby. It's always what's wrong with the baby, what's wrong with the baby. You're constantly in that high alert fear mode.
So, some more background. What is currently known about this topic is that NICUs primarily care for the sick infants and focus less on the mother's mental and physical health status. Many mothers experience different things during their NICUs or their infant's NICU stay, but we are unsure of what services and supports that are lacking for these mothers. This is important because the lingering effects of mothers from their experiences can potentially cause long-term effects for them and their baby. Mothers and infants in the NICU experience postpartum depression, like mentioned, at higher rates and more severe symptomatology. Although there has been an increased awareness of postpartum depression, there has not been enough in the context of the NICU. Our research question is experience of mothers of infants in the neonatal intensive care unit. Some of our inclusion criteria includes articles that are within the last 10 years, US-based articles, specifically mothers within the NICU setting, real-life experience of these mothers that they've had, original research. And some exclusion criteria includes fathers' experiences, other countries, nursing experiences, and the general hospital setting or pediatric hospital settings. The literature searching process provided us with evidence relevant to our research question. We explored different databases in search of relevant key terms to see what the results would provide us with. Our databases were then narrowed down to ProQuest, PubMed, and CINAHL. We have been successful in finding articles that relate to our question and focus on the lived experiences of mothers with infants in the NICU. A challenge that we found during the search process was finding the right combination of our key search terms to use, and that would be helpful to help us find all relevant information within this database. The key terms that gave us relevant literature relating to our question include maternal care, postnatal, NICU, infant, premature, neonatal, mothers, qualitative research, and intensive care unit. Zotero allowed us to save the search results and organize them by folders based on the day of the search and which databases were used. We then combined all searches into one main folder. We had a total of 257 pieces of literature, and we saved all of those to Zotero.
Okay, so some more information on Zotero with our screening process. Our group started the screening process by removing duplicate articles found within Zotero across our use databases within a separate folder that updated our main folder. This resulted in a final number of 224 results, which we will further review to see if it meets our criteria. The results from the main Zotero folder were then downloaded to an Excel spreadsheet within Google Slides, where we started the process to establish reliability and further screen abstract and titles using inclusion criteria. Additional columns of article information were removed based on relevant information needed to screen, and inclusion criteria columns were added. Numbers were used to represent if criteria was met. A 1 equaled yes, while 0 equaled no. To establish further reliability, our group separately screened 10 articles and then reviewed our inclusion criteria to see if we screened similarly. Reliability was 80%, and after discussing the decisions behind our thinking during screening and established a better understanding of what we were looking for in our studies, we then went on to split the remaining articles in half, each screening 107. Some of the challenges we experienced were deciding on specific inclusion criteria, interpretation of study findings, and finding good articles, but they were not based in the US, which excluded them from our review process. The preliminary findings included some potential themes such as feeling withdrawn or lack of relationship with their infant, difficult time transitioning from the NICU to home, breastfeeding challenges, different ethnicities experiences within the NICU. This led us to a question of many additional stresses make every mother's NICU experience different. For example, other children at home, new mothers, and previous birth trauma. Can these additional challenges be included and explored within this research question? One article we found that helps further explain our research question includes a study in which they focused on maternal psychological responses of mothers in the neonatal and the NICU through self-reported measures of depression, anxiety, stress, and maternal infant attachment during their admission, and then again 2 to 4 months later. The study acknowledged how critical it was to address and understand these gaps in the literature surrounding maternal responses, and it confirmed that these mothers experience high levels of depression, anxiety, and stress during their infant stay. An increase in mental health symptoms with a NICU admission also heightened, especially among mothers with pre-existing vulnerabilities and prior reproductive traumas. This study highlights how traumatic experiences and environment of the NICU can play a major role in maternal mental health. Understanding the areas of impact is essential in finding ways to support the needs and experiences of mothers during their stay in the NICU. We feel a blog post will be the most effective way to spread information and connect mothers further. We found multiple blogs of mothers that were sharing their experience and feelings. We found one in particular from a mother who had gone through the NICU, stating, "I love the NICU now, but didn't always. The NICU is scary and no one will blame you for not loving this experience. The sounds of alarms and ventilators may haunt you for years after. You do not want your baby to end up here and might even hate the NICU since you don't know how your baby's story will end. But I can assure you that you will love at least one nurse or doctor who ends up caring for you, loving and nurturing your baby back to health. And years after, you will remember that more than anything else." There was another quote also included stating that they would never ever feel the same. So there's a couple of things within these blogs that we feel would speak to mothers more, as it's a way to connect. And this concludes our presentation. A list of our references is provided here. And thank you very much for listening to our talk.